Good evening, welcome back. It's Friday night, time for my last discography ranking of this week. I've done one every night, so let's finish it off. No more next week. No one cares anyway. Everyone's got their own opinions. So tonight we're doing Firewind, the almighty Greek stroke German. They've had a lot of nationalities in the band, power metal band, but the mainstay of the band is of course the guitar wizard Gus G. He's a top guitar player, that guy. He started Firewind I think around the 2000 mark, 99, 2000, 2001 or so. I think the first album was released 2002, so he started about 2001, let's say. So they've had in total 9 albums now, and they've had 5 singers. So they like to get, Gussie likes to go through the singers. Yeah, you can't keep too many of them. It's hard to keep a singer, but all the singers he's got are very good, which is it's not. I'm not gonna say a surprise, but he likes good singers, Gus. So there it is. So I was looking at the ranking for this one, and it's hard to pick holes in this discography. Every album is solid. I mean, I've got something in 9th place, but I give a 9th place rating of 7.5 out of 10, possibly 8. So the discography of Firewind for power metal fans is very consistent, very good. I mean, he always delivers, Gus. He always gets good singers, always does solid songwriting. This is what power metal fans are looking for. So for me anyway, the album sitting in last place is getting a 7.5 or even an 8 out of 10. So everything gets 7.5 and higher. Some of them obviously higher. So let's just get on with this. In 9th place, we've got Few Against Many, released in 2012 with Apollo Papathanasiou, the guy who's had the most albums that he sang on with the band. He sung on 4 albums actually. So yeah, it's a good album. Like I said, Few Against Many. It's got all the power metal traits that you would expect from Firewind. Let me get my words out. So it's a good album. In 8th place, we've got Firewind, the most recent album released in 2020 with Herbie Langen's their latest singer. This is a good album. I'd rate this 8 out of 10. It's a solid album. Herbie's a good singer. He took over from the previous chap, which we will get to. Firewind is a good album. There's no problem with it, but it still sits towards the bottom of the discography. In 7th place, we've got Days of Defiance, released in 2010 with Apollo again. Again, very good album. Typical Firewind. It doesn't deviate from the power metal path, if you like. So Days of Defiance, good album. In 6th place, we've got Immortals, released in 2017, the one and only album with Henning Bass, the ex-singer of Metallium. This is a good album. This was a good he was looking for a new singer. He found Henning Bass, and he delivered a one and done good album with Henning. Really good, solid power metal album. In 5th place, we've got Allegiance, released in 2006 with Apollo again. This was Apollo's first album in Firewind, I believe. I really like this one. I think Apollo's probably my favourite singer out of all the singers. Although it's close, we'll get to it. But yeah, Apollo is close to my favourite singer. It's equal, maybe, say. Allegiance is a great album. His first time singing in Firewind. He does a great job. Very strong album. Okay, the top 4. In 4th place, we've got Between Heaven and Hell, the debut album featuring Stephen Frederick. I really like this album. I think it's awesome. came out at a time where power metal was just slightly getting bigger, you know, after starting in the late 80s, you know, late 90s, sorry, with Hammerfall, you know, regaining some ground for power metal after being in the doldrums for ages, and then other bands caught onto it, and then Firewind came along. They were one of the bands that caught onto that tail, and this is a great debut. I mean, I love Stephen Frederick's voice. He's quite an earthy, meaty voice. I mean, Gus likes these kind of voices. He chooses singers which have powerful, grainy voices, and Stephen Frederick is definitely one of those. So Between Heaven and Hell is a rock solid album. The production would be much better in future releases, but as a debut I find the songwriting really good and really enjoyable. Okay, in third place we've got Forged by Fire, released in 2005, featuring Chitty Samapala. Chitty is a Sri Lankan singer, but he resides in Germany, of course. He took over for one and only one album, Forged by Fire. It was a really good album. It was more melodic. The production was much better. It wasn't as heavy as the two earlier albums, but it's still very much more melodic and more in tune with the sort of mid-period Firewind sound, more melodic, you know, not trying to be ball-bustingly heavy. But I love this album, Forged by Fire, and I was a bit surprised that Chitty only lasted the one album, but it was a killer anyway. So the top two, in second place we've got Burning Earth, released in 2003 with Stephen Frederick on vocals again. This one was like an improvement on the debut. They released it quickly after the debut. They took everything that was on the debut and they upped the ante. The production became better. The songs are more like concise, more powerful. Everything is just like up to level, so it's much better sounding. But my number one album from Firewind is the Premonition, released in 2008, featuring Apollo Papathanasiou. Apollo has the last album and the top album. The Premonition is an album which I love. It's much more melodic than sort of the early ones. The early ones are sort of heavy and gritty and pacey. There's pacing on the Premonition, but there's a lot more melody. The vocal style is more, I don't know, it's just more melodic. The songs are catchier. You could say sort of the touch more mainstream heavy metal. It's not so much catering towards just power metal. So it's sort of like melodic hard rock even at times. It's a mix between the two, say melodic power metal and melodic hard rock. So I really like the Premonition. It's my number one Firewind album. But like I said, the whole discography is rock solid. There's no bad Firewind albums. There's ones which are slightly less good in my opinion, but there you have it. Something has to be number one, and it's the Premonition. Stay tuned.